between citizens and government, and at the same time get citizens their feedback for informed government policies. So this is a a unique and historic opportunity. After we all plenty, thank you for that. And I hope say viewers themselves and listeners then will make meaningful contributions to this program.
Okay, perfect. So when I continue for say when I text message to the number +34649365503 so that the minister will answer some of the questions there. And maybe we go get one or two lucky callers we go call and ask the minister question if we get time inside the 1 hour. Now, Mr. Minister, we won't go straight because we know they waste time. A lot of people know who than are you, and we not go get that time for going to the personal biography. But I want you give me an overview of the government, SLPP-led government inside these 3 years.
Farm then this is a broken record now. Man, we all know say this government took over in April 2018. Amidst very difficult challenges then. The international development partner community did not withdraw from Sierra Leone. They're not being like the way the previous government did it in then. Public sector workers will go months without salary. We will get boku issues around thing there where they make the country not the respect. Boku thing there. So yes, salaries are very low for public sector workers then. Pensioners them they virtually take home people that don't give the all to the country in the prime of during their prime years. So they get as low as 25,000, 30,000 as pension, So we will get people that they drop out of school because of school fees and other related charges. So we don't come 3 years on, we don't try for address some renting. For example, we come to wages of public sector workers there. We also don't do various salary increments there. I mean, like 3 times now, just for ensure say we boost the morale of the public sector. We will able to keep them committed and excited on the jobs there. We don't do that one day. Before we come in, Boku schools there around the country not being get teachers there. We don't recruit about 8,000 teachers there. We don't give them paying course there. They get salaries there. The president, in wisdom, don't introduce a very ambitious free quality education program. In some instances there, we support them with school feeding, Boku areas. One very interesting one though, because myself growing up in the village, now school feeding attracts me to school. So I stayed in school forever after. So that's a very, very interesting thing there. I know say they work with the same miracle for other schools in there. So Boku thing on they happen, but it probably go good low we take it and specifically, then we will go for do justice to the topic, and the listeners that said they will likely have very fulfilled say they know indeed learn a lot of stuff today and know get informed on the issues.
Okay, I tell you plenty. Thank you for that general overview where you don't give for the SLPP-led government inside these 3 years plus now. So, but you being a minister, I want that you give with Sierra Leoneans and also how you don't run your ministry inside these 3 years also, sir.
So at the beginning with the testimony from 2 former ministers of information and communications. We don't serve one of them served in the late President Kabah administration and a lecturer. The other one served in the last APC administration. Then tell me say, look, gentlemen, will not envy your position. You don't come in and then they talk in the context. The one we served in the late Ahmad Tijan Kabah administration tell me say, look, I don't envy your position at all. They say back then when we were there, we only had one radio station where they give trouble. Now Colenzing radio station, we don't talk to I drive body, I ask for right to respond. Right? They say, but now you get social media for content with, you get a multiplicity of radio stations, newspapers, and city council. So that one day, that's not for telling the extent of the job I get. Because always it's taken now for those citizen journalism, for the most part, not just a smartphone, data, and probably a grudge, because they don't generate news and all of that. So yes, as Minister for Information and Communications, like I said earlier, part of my job description I for make sure say BG communications divide between government and citizens and take citizens feedback to government for informed policy. The other limb of the job description I get now for ensure to protect government ownership interests in all communications institutions. So that key role in that if I can talk in a nutshell. So 3.5 years on, I think so we don't do very well. We meet an information and communications landscape. Data, we don't able to substantially reduce data price. Today, I'm very proud for not say Salone gets one of the cheapest data bundles around West Africa. Yes, I mean this is not to me say anybody who want to share this is a fact, right? So that one is very good because as government we don't create the right enabling environment for the private sector, the mobile network operators and for operate. So now that makes it known they get very competitive prices even below regional average. Yeah. So we're very proud of that one day. And we will continue to expand connectivity again as a result of enabling government policies there. We will expand coverage to more and more areas. We will take over a couple of years ago. We made coverage at 79%. Now we're around 87%. So we don't make substantial improvement in terms of mobile voice coverage. This is very good. We take broadband and ICT services to unserved and underserved communities. Still, all this they happen because the President Julius Maada Bio, believes say they want for left behind a digitally competitive Sierra Leone, a digitally inclusive Sierra Leone, where Sierra Leoneans are able to stay competitive at home and abroad. That one they nine at the maximum. Because they always tell us, they look, Africa missed out on 3 industrial revolutions. No miss out on the fourth industrial revolution with that digitalization. So for that reason, they right now as we talk, we get 87% of citizens connected by mobile voice. We take around 79. So we don't do very well over that. Again, we made people then connected to the internet about 18%. Now we get over 25% of Sierra Leoneans logged onto various social media platforms. So it's growing, and this is set to grow exponentially year on year, right? So that one is that. So as a ministry, we realize the future of the world, like digitalization, like technology. The president believed that one very strongly. So during in first ever meeting, in first trip to China, during the Forum for Africa China Cooperation FOCAC meeting, he asked in counterpart President Xi Jinping for supporter for able to take broadband connectivity to other parts of the country. So he able to get a concessionary loan of $30 million at 1% interest rate. Wow. Yeah. Previously, before we come in, that be 2% interest rate. The president, because he takes Sierra Leone business very seriously, the debt body for the country, and they consider that one day, so they negotiate very hard, right? So 1% interest rate. This one for able to take fiber to the remaining districts of the country. Before now, Kaila will not get fiber never reach there. Fiber not ever reaching up to John. It just passed through there. Fiber never reaching up Bonds. They never reach in Moyamba, they never reach in Koinadu. So this is to ensure that we take fiber to the remaining districts of the country. Okay? So once we don't do that one day and work in advanced stages, they don't do the trenching, backfilling, and connections then will start soon. The contractors don't tell we say by October, November, that work they go down done. So when they connect all the district headquarters, the regional headquarters towns, and for example, Makeni, Oroko, Bo, Kenema, would do what they call metro rings. What do metro rings mean? Would take the fiber around the city so that in case Elizabeth you want to take fiber at home, it's very easy. The internet service provider they just charge you some money, they take fiber at home. Fiber, the high definition, high integrity connectivity, right? So you're able to watch like what you're watching at US and other places. So this government very progressive. Apart from the metro ring, so that they do at the regional headquarters towns, then they also they make sure say any of them town and they where the fiber go, would connect some of the schools and they would connect the district council they and the city council. So this is because the president believes say we need for decentralized governance, we need for provide that enabling environment there so that we will, decentralization will work. That make we connect all the district council there and the city council there within the 4 regions. So this is very, very important. Okay, that's number 1 or number 2. The other bit again, as a ministry, some of the members say for years on, 55 years ago, they enacted something called the criminal libel law. That means journalists then, anything you write, as long as people the authority think say it wrong, you don't embarrass them, you know, truth not to defense because not true you talk, that may not to be defense under the criminal libel law. They will still hold you, they're subjected to long pre-trial detentions, you know, above case, because that's what the law will say. So President Bio the campaign as candidate Julius Matter Bio back then. They talk say, look, we not say we want to be a democracy, we can choose which law we want, which law we don't want. The normal, thriving, and healthy democracy, you know, they get criminal libel law. So they promise say the pull out. What to make them very interesting, President Bio na one presidential candidate with a libel pass all presidential candidates. Now, one presidential candidate that would talk all kind of bad things, the castigator, then do all kinds of things, the lie para, then you know, so much so that President will be not even come to power on the back of repealing the criminal libel law, they not be do nothing, they not do fuck all. When President Bio come, he talk about man be a joke. You know, like with all things he said, we've been talking about free quality education. So yes, this president, they give me the matching orders. He says, as Minister of Information and Communications, I want to make sure that during this my first inning, I don't want for your criminal libel law. So I took it in my stride, and I built a coalition of the willing, you know, I move that agenda forward. I'm happy. Say we get bipartisan support for that bill will crown with the parliament after long debates, after a lot of apprehensions, maybe among cabinet ministers, maybe among members of parliament, members of the public, will be able to convince all man say the repeal line up in the right and proper thing to do. So Sierra Leone don't join the rest of the world for we don't get criminal libel law again, you know. So this one they complement the right to access information law who also get. So you see, we are a very thriving democracy. We do very well in very difficult challenges. What come up on the one back? You know, why should they do that one day? Enact a new independent media commission law. We see say over the years, journalists they not get proper code of conduct. You know, elected and do wrong, you don't know who side the ground go, like both case. But more importantly, people that don't serve as journalists, they don't serve this country, then when they grow old now, they don't get nothing. They don't get, you know, they don't get pension, they don't get social security, nothing they don't get. So under this new law, we don't say anybody who is a journalist will be paid a salary, they will pay national contributions for them, and that kind of thing. So now when you practice the profession, at the end of the day, you still get to fall back. But this is very, very important for us. Because President being in government don't talk about human capital development. So the bottom line landing at the center and the top, everything we do. Okay?
Sure.
And so the other bit, because the letter asked for the cybercrime bill. The cybercrime bill, there is a background to it. A good family would understand this. Where them they land the fiber in this country 8 years ago, right? One of the conditions was that when you land fiber in a country, it open that country they up digitally. So you need to get particular law there in place. For example, you need to get a cyber security and crime bill law in place. You need to get a data protection law in place. And you even need to get an electronic communications law. So where I come in, the first meeting at Addis Ababa, you know, and then put this list up. You know, it was a naming and shaming session. Then put Salon name up saying, we don't want people there, one set of people that we don't go sign the Malabo Accord. The Malabo Accord, now the African Union, their own standard for cyber security and cyber crime. Now the law and all African leaders don't go sign up. But when you sign up to it, you will come back to the country and do the need. Salon may come back after that jamboree na Equatorial Guinea, Malabo will not do nothing. So that day they will go as a new kid on the block and then they go show with the embarrass you. So I tell them, say, well, we're in a new government, but we'll take the appropriate steps to make sure to do. The other bit being therefore do with electronic communications law. You would not say that's government enacted in 2006 or look after the ICT, the telecommunications sector. So telecommunications sector, it was National Telecommunications Commission, NATCOM. So that means they're not able to regulate the whole ICT sector. So now a police for no say, we for final consultations with the draft NATCOM bill, one for Crown Law Parliament, so that it will regulate the whole ICT sector. That's why NATCOM law in past 2006 will not be even on land fiber now. So then they all not be taken care of. 4G not be there, 5G not be there. So it's old. So one for bringing that in line with other progressive legislations around the world is like that. So that one did it in the works. The data protection law, for people that not ask say if we don't enact the data protection law for before we do this. I don't know. People that when they follow this, it does not necessarily follow. Nigeria enact the cyber crime law in 2015, the data protection law followed in 2019. We want to make sure so before the end of this year, we'll also pass the data protection law. That one they would be working in advanced stages. I'm very pleased for note for inform would say this government will care about freedoms, will care about rights, and will care for privacy of people. So under no circumstance would they relate from that one day to the next one day.
Wow. Yeah. So, Mr. Minister, I tell you plenty. Thank you, Sierra Leoneans. If you just tune in, this now Unity Broadcasting with the country live from Houston, Texas. Again with me, the Honorable Minister, Mr. Mohamed RAHMAN SWARAY, in the Minister of Information and Communication, Sierra Leone. When I continue for stay with we, if opportunity fall, we go give una 2 or 3 lucky callers for now ask the minister a question, meaning inside this 1 hour. So, Mr. Minister,
I don't want to wrap up on the ministry, yeah.
Sure, okay.
So we also get, the president apostle will get a lot of commitment to enjoy. When he become president, one of the first sets of people that he meet with are the civil servants. During that meeting, they tell them say they're a very important vehicle for delivery of public services. So they tell them for punctuality and regularity. So when I say where it begin going now, you building and then place them for check on attendance. This is a digital era. So a call and challenge will say, look, I'm not going to be using my time for the going to place today. So we, as Ministry of Information and Communications, we don't involve a time and attendance management system. We want to call clock in, clock out. We already the pilot and a 24 MDA strength. Hopefully by the end of the year, we don't cover all the ministries. So biometric verification, the face when you come in, they tell you clock in, this, that, just the same feature. So you went on the account, it will now impact salary, promotions and other things there. So that one is what we don't do. Again, the other one they we don't do, where we say, look, people then spend a lot of time for go for meetings there. But the meeting with the last 30 minutes there and they drive that traffic for long time. We say, look, this is not to the best use of people their time. So we don't evolve a system where they able to conduct meetings there, using with telephones there, with text telephones and where they get conference call all on so you don't need to go some site if you don't have to go. You can join meetings then from now on the virtual year. So a lot of things in the go under the Ministry of Information and Communications. We don't continue for informal people then. We don't continue for get the regular Thursday press briefings then. We don't continue for decentralized press briefings then. And a lot of things that go on there. So we're very excited. The challenges are huge, but we're very excited about taking it on as a people.
Okay. Mr. Minister, I tell you plenty thank you. Well, in the first place, I really want to commend you and congratulate you for the criminal libel law where you don't pass. This they gonna history. Say a gentleman when Mr. Mohamed RAHMAN SWARAY and in SLPP-led government been create this particular bill we're able for help with. So, and looking at the slogan, talk and do, you and you presidents when I really don't do very well under that slogan. So for that matter, I congratulate you on behalf of Unity Broadcasting. Now let me come to the question here. This criminal libel law, you see you critics and they talk say now from the frying pots to the fire, meaning that something you pull and you put another one. I want to make you tell with Salon Family the way they listen to you now, how you go clean up the government from this particular charge where they go and publish show all over the place.
So one of the sad day for country, the fact say, for people that want to be opinion leaders, they're not really the key. Sadly enough, they not they understand the issues then, but they still want for be influencers then. They want to be opinion leaders. Back then, this country been get a lot of reputation for quality of debate, for quality of enlightenment. Sadly enough, even the people that way they claim for being leaders in opinion, they're not the real bill. Who start that bill, who start with who talk about cybercrime bill, then criminalizer, then problematizer, then talk all kinds of them when they talk. And sadly, most of them not been on the radar. Yeah, and let's say this, I want to commend with legal minds there. They make a lot of effort. They support we in the end, although we pull out. But I will note say, old as university is, they have remained very unprogressive. They now get their kind of models there. The world they go global, they go digital. Progressive universities then for the get their model they now. For the students they now either in a bar school, in a law school or bar school or something like that, as what I want to call models. Then the climate change, these are the issues in go. But people know they do that one day and they want to forget opinion, everything. This is a technology bill, man. This is not a technology bill, not to the normal kind bill. So I want to tell when I say President Bill get a huge appetite for deepening freedoms, for people their rights then, and particularly for making the media, for unshackle the media. Because some of them the criminal libel law, they've been there in conflict to 12 other international legislations, 12 other international conventions that we don't sign, right? So that one they not been good, they've been tell we say home reading, shine, law removal. So I'll do that one day. So we could not have given with the right hand, we'll take with the left hand. Again, like I said, this country gets a problem. Most of the people that all want to get opinion on everything, they know they read. Anybody who don't read the cybercrime bill could not say this is not one of the best things, they're one of the most progressive legislations for this country not enact in a long time. For example, before they enact the cybercrime bill, then they talk about rights, like I just tell you. When they're investigating, for example, Elizabeth, then just the right to the network, if not Airtel or whatever, if not Orange or Africell, then just the right to then say the CID they investigate you, they want to go records their data. That is what is currently the case. Under the cybercrime law, we take people their rights and so important, people their privacy, as a responsible government, we have to protect that. So that they make under this new cybercrime law. If you really think say in the course of your investigation, you think say Narado SWARAY, in the investigation they lead to and you get evidence, you get for right to the judge, the high court judge, the right to and get reasons why you think say you need for access the data. And even when you convince the judge, they give you that fair to the then they give you the fair to go ahead and access that. But even there, when they don't give you, there are clear restrictions, there are clear processes and procedures. If you go out of that one, you become a reckless police officer, for example, and because of doing that, you set a penalty there for you. So in fact, this one, for the very first time in the country's history, this is now one law this where they look after people with rights, privacy, where they look after people with the rights. And so you get right, the judge get right for say no, we cannot give you that. And the person get right for challenger in case they give a fair. So we put them to talk about people in rights, they don't read the law, and sadly some they don't read them in the out of mischief or they not able to understand the law. Yeah. So there was this point, that the try for say, hey, well, when you get one warrant, you able to search all my computer. But that is nonsense. They're not really dealing. But if they read and they don't understand that. Like I said, we call it law school because I heard this from some lawyers, always sad. When the law school don't begin to do cybercrime as a model or something. So some of them are very brilliant minds, but this is the technology bill, they don't understand that. It's so simple. These are digital times. When we talk about the cloud, you really hold computer in your hand, but your data not resident there, your data not doing missile there, data the cloud. So we are saying, this bill they say, if you get a warrant for such Mohammed SWARAY computer, you can't discover so that computer don't get no data, but they use the password with that computer again for storing data in the cloud. They use that same warrant for check Mohammed SWARAY in data in the cloud. Not to say they give you rights for begin side people they waiting. But people they don't understand and they know the acts, they know their patience, right? They want to call police to appoint. This lawyer, so not always sit down one, will get support from the European Union, will get support from ECOWAS, you know. So all them people then they're not for don't do a pass. You wanna see the EU ambassador in a salon congratulate you, wanna see the US ambassador congratulate you, and everybody the ECOWAS because they know say we don't take all the benchmarks. The European Union gets something they call the Budapest Convention, will benchmark this law against them. ECOWAS gets something they call ECOWAS gets something they call the ECOWAS directives, will benchmark the law against them. The African Union gets something they call the Malabo Accord, will make sure to benchmark against them. So we'll take the best practice from other countries. So this is the most progressive legislation. But look, when I know Parliament is very critical, what I go for us, so I reach out more. Who can they now? It gets support across parties from APC, SLPP, NGC, C4C, and Independence. So this is a very progressive legislation, and I want for a very, very important say this government in action. Because already I mentioned say 87% of the citizens they're connected by mobile voice. 25% of citizens they use various social media platforms. So this is a very significant portion of the population who are not for left unprotected, right? So we want to talk about this thing, you know, the country will go for elevated debate, small bits. Politics don't make we're not able to debate seriously again. When they talk about cybercrime law, we talk about fighting organized crime. We talk about fighting things like terrorism. We talk about fighting things like money laundering. Now USC this so with the aware saying hush puppy, for example. Now Dubai is done. They use digital space. It please people them billions and billions of dollars. Again, this other instance they were in Nigeria and former Nigeria anti-corruption commissioner equivalent, EFCC commissioner, no Ribado say if they investigate a case, now a jump into one where a group of people that is done home in Nigeria, they rob a bank in Brazil, $254 million. The bank collapsed, the bank governor died. So the then thing now they put in place so that we are able to protect our digital space. People then they say, hey, we don't need cybercrime law. That's a very illiterate argument. You know, because now it's done 2008. You know, plain land in this country with cocaine. We don't be no law for trying it. They begin conveying parliament horribly. Here and there, all man the run heads are scatter. Yeah. We're able to put, you know, something that looks like a law together for tried and convicted. So we live in a digital era. We don't say we don't need cybercrime law. In fact, it only was supposed to don't get earlier than now. But President Leo is progressive, he's reform-minded, so that people will do them in there for today and tomorrow for protect succeeding generations.
Wow. Well, Mr. Minister, I tell you plenty thank you. Sierra Leoneans, if you just join we allow we share this live. So we brothers and sisters within at the last village, Kobola, Fujon District, Bondapi, wherever then they can able forget waiting the minister they say in real simple language, community broadcasting. Now, Mr. Minister, we see the criminal libel law, it did deal most with the government, but the cybercrime bill it did touch all sides, the length and breadth of Sierra Leoneans. But shortly we see a case in a court about a WhatsApp message where allegedly somebody they say something bad about her. Now let we look at this way. You know, feel say this kind of cases here go flood with courts, and at the same time Sierra Leoneans then go use that opportunity for misuse this opportunity.
No, serious offenses then. Listen to me. You know, the say you got a friend, blah blah, you boyfriend, you wife, now you bring over. You know, the law very, very clear. Now serious issues in this, like what give some other instances in this. So, you know, people then they don't make child pornography their own business now. So we they say if you distribute that kind of thing, they threaten national security. I mean, if you talk to you can still criticize the government. You can still criticize the government. Why not? I mean, that is the stuff democracy is made of. Yes, criticism is a very fundamental part of democracy. So people can still criticize the government responsibly. We they say all man for all a duty of care for this country. I mean, there is a social responsibility. We cannot call for the dissolution of Sierra Leone. We're not going to call for war. We're not going to call for anything like some very irresponsible social media users to do. So this lawyer is criminalizing kinds of. But ordinarily for criticizing government, of course, our citizens are duty. right? People criticize government within the ambit of the law. Why not? So not so when you go for people by say you go down this that. That is not what the law is made for. This law that to fight serious organized crime, like what I say terrorism, thing like money laundering, thing like for fight against you know them picking or fight for them picking rights, fight against child pornography, fight against misuse of copyright, fight against unauthorized access and all that. Then the part of the thing that way you don't say the hush copy them they do now authorized access. Then they really break into people that know the network, the system, and begin for divert resources and what have you. But that one they now then issues there they talk about.
Okay. Mr. Minister, I tell you plenty, thank you. Now, under you watch as minister, through President Bill, I see una don't abolish the death penalty na Sierra Leone. But listeners, una where they listen, I wonder una know say we where they stay in the United States right now, the death penalty is still there na the laws of America and also some Western countries there. But Mr. Minister, we were in a third world country when I don't abolish this law. You know if he says Sierra Leone not really ripe yet for this law to be abolished?
Well, we think say we're supposed to do this earlier. If we been do this earlier, probably the late FM in enough don't die. Probably the late Taki enough don't die. The late Fauna enough don't die. Then people and they some of the most brilliant Sierra Leoneans across the country. They make their own historic contributions. But in all their cases, then several years later, they don't establish and say they were all framed up. Kill them because of political and other reasons. Some of the witnesses may not come forward and say then they pay them and they coach them for go give them witness and then testimony against them. So they say if the death penalty not be there, then put them some sort of feed their families, right? We don't misuse them over the years. And really we think say as a country we don't let too much blood for that kind of thing. The president say, look, every life important. If you do something in a capital offense, you can go to life imprisonment, you can go to 25 years, 30 years jail, and either by normal man age, or you don't learn your lessons. So yes, so we're not make impunity trial, but one for reconsider that because it has been misused and they have the proclivity for them for succeeding generations, future leaders, for let them misuse and that make one for burial to put them at the Museum of History.
But again, Mr. Minister, we see a couple weeks ago or months ago, we see how una get a gun where then sees na Wataki inside Motuka, and we also see now the hearts of Sierra Leone inside Freetown, then get a lot of uniforms and sojaman boots there. Where then they we believe say, according to information, now people then come with some probably for cause mayhem. But now when I don't abolish this not gonna be a regret by any reason if them people here where they cause trouble able for succeed for cause chaos in the country or maybe God forbid that create any treasonable act.
Well, so the new law where the amendments don't clearly make provision. Then get still like life imprisonment, then get 25 years, and then so impunity is still not going to try. Because if they don't seize the liberty for life, that's as good as death penalty. But we think say this country don't share too much blood. In most instances, under the previous administration, they misuse them too much. But we don't let the president means say in political ambition or any Sierra Leonean blood. But then they make a possible get good conscience. They get big hands for Sierra Leone. Well, let Sierra Leone take a rightful place among other countries of the world. Because we choose our reconciliation commission, we make a recommendation say look for abolish the death penalty because of the misuse of yesteryear. With Human Rights Commission, every year with a report that they say law remove the death penalty. Other international organizations. So very pleased say President Bill a trailblazer in many ways, in more ways than one. Even though not be the most maligned, not be the most castigated, not be the most ripped apart. Na repeal by journalists and na repeal the criminal libel law. I'm happy to journalists and said all land recently they bestow honor champion of press freedom at Salo. So yes, this one back along can do.
Okay, Mr. Minister, I tell you plenty. Thank you. We're about for wrap up now because now 1 hour we just done 42 minutes inside the show. But I believe say you know the country in Yai and the country in Ace, and you get a vast knowledge about everything where they go on at Sierra Leone. So recently, this past Friday, we see where the courts rule against the dual citizenship. Meaning any Sierra Leone, as long as you're born as a Leone, you get rights for contest a parliamentary seat, or you also get rights for contest for president. You know, if you say this kill the to seem law, as we know of folk can say the dual citizenship.
Well, so that one gonna be very unprogressive legislation. But I know the last administration, when the Mohammed every chick in the book or dismember some people then or disqualify some people. I mean, now then see how we can make say President Bio is the best deal that has happened to this country in a long time, probably since independence. The president say, look, would they look forward to the diaspora money, then they make contributions to national development. You know, nobody know they way not get somebody like diaspora who will help out for peace, for well-then school fees, maybe for pay school fees, for Bible, you know, for family events, even for investments and you know, once all internet from the nine question. So why would a camper let them run for public office now? We think that they not qualify. You know, so the president is said that's that one they pose a moral dilemma for him. So that make it say, look, law will just do progressive review of them law there. The all man who is a salute person by birth, let you get the opportunity for let you get the franchise. That is for vote and be voted for, right? Already, even before this landmark ruling by the Supreme Court, together be laying a parliament right now or make sure say we agree that one day. And I've been on the talk about the president very passionate. We even go abroad and ask her and we make that commitment. When I don't say President Bill talk and do. Once he talk even a great personal discomfort, they make sure so they do it.
Okay. So what's in your impression or opinion about the independence of the Sierra Leone judiciary?
No, we don't say, you know, we always allow the judiciary for work independently. This judiciary don't give ruling against the president, his a nephew, we been take a court petition matter, election petition matter in a court. They rule against that. And the minority leader in the parliament, Honorable Cherikoko, now have a petition. They lost the petition. We don't see this government who they lost case in that court today because the president won't let the judiciary work because it's not separate and independent type of government. So they say under this administration, we don't employ more state councils there so that cases are not going to stay long in that court. We don't deploy magistrates there and high court judges there. Now place them we don't want to get like Falabare, they then carry them, then place them. Because we want people to be able to access justice timelessly and so all that's in there they happen. This is simply a government with care. We want justice to be accessible, just like we don't make education accessible for every people there who the people they know otherwise for able to attend and go to school. So that is President Bill for you. Very progressive, very, very, very reform minded.
Okay, as a government, how much impact this ruling will make on you, considering the fact that you will get more competition now from the diasporas then for any of the positions?
Well, sometimes under the previous government in the trade, where they may rule against that one day, that's the same thing. They don't care honorable KKY go court. So they say we know the trade competition, what we need for do and we continue for do. Continue for deliver for people there. This is a talk and rule administration. We don't care. Nobody, no part of this country not will say President Biona don't do well for it. We don't care. We don't introduce boku reforms there. All Salomon they benefit from. So the two same thing really that making of this administration, we don't allow the judiciary to operate freely and independently. But more importantly, we also don't make sure say we say as government we don't take the first step. We don't care this thing go parliament now. Now whatever they recess, otherwise people don't have them even before this landmark ruling. We are very happy with the progress. I want to congratulate the Supreme Court for standing, for rising up to the occasion.
Wow. So Mr. Minister, being an information minister, and you know the country, yeah, like everybody know, we dey see fake news dey fly all over the place. Some man go just come out, look like a couple days ago, then talk say an opposition leader don't die na Pademba Road. And we know say all them things and atrocities the way they caused by people that way just want for cause trouble na Sierra Leone. Waiting at the modalities the way you don't put in place for really tackle and debunk most of them things there.
Well, you know, this team in the call this team in the over this one as on Nigerian let dogs delight to bark and bite. God has made it. People that they by their own very nature and fake news and like they're not like good news. They're like bad news, so that they sell fake news. So as government would make sure that I make you find out say the Ministry of Information website they or Facebook page they anything will require clarification would clarify simultaneously. Recently I launched one private sector from the outfit, the Bauer, then said the work for counter fake news, other institutions and the way they will use our network. Because fake news never really exists, but a government will get huge appetite for transparency and accountability. For a government will get the right to access information, the government will not repeal criminal liability. So people are going to access the information what they want as long as they use the process. But again, apart from the deliberacy where they go on with, I can not say there's also the problem with digital literacy. So we undertake a lot of digital literacy campaigns. Yes, so we'll continue to do that. I will call on UNA all for support me, like through this thing also when I don't host me. Thing will be need clarifications, we don't clarify them. Thing will be need deep dive into, we don't deep dive into them. All man understand. Because if people don't get information, the tendency is that they will generate one for themselves. So when I thank you for this effort on the make and will continue.
Okay, that's perfect. We also tell you plenty thank you for that recommendations where you tell we plenty thank you for what we do. Now, Mr. Minister, what's your impression about the good work where you and your colleagues then they do now the country for push the slogan do and talk or talk and do?
Well, so something they were still remember very vividly. When President Bill in the SWARAY we appointed new. It always says, gentlemen and ladies, this country don't suffer for far too long. So let us be that group of men and women who will help change the narrative. Where history will forever and ever remember that way. Right? So we all as colleagues then rile up by that one day and we'll get the support we need. And I'm able to achieve the milestones we will achieve. Committed for make sure we'll do that. Because if we make salon fine, now this salon will need some of you are local champions, will only go no side. That will be all we life and I will be. Because so now make we do dance in there or make sure we create a country who all go one for living, a country who all will be proud of. It's not going to take angels from heaven for can't do that. It's going to be done by Sierra Leoneans. Out of 7.3 million people now we don't get the opportunity for leave. So it's an obligation for all get it right. And that make we do.
Wow. Mr. Minister, we there for roundup now. We get just 10 minutes inside the show, but we see the opposition they cry all over and they sell out the word say tin tranga boku. Waiting at the government in your side for really try for stop this kind of narrative and propaganda where the opposition they try for sell out so with people then out there.
Well, not the opposition need for telling really. I mean, we know say we get challenges with prices of some essential commodities, but this is not because government not don't do something. But I remember say when COVID come, maybe before it reach now, it will be processed before we begin to put policies in place or make sure say let it not hit people them very hard. I mean, they just watched a documentary today, Thailand, right? People would then be one very country, I'm not sure and one then country then people in the queue for basic essential commodities, right? Price rises and this, that, and the thing and not enough. So one of the things that we will do, we will look at all ends in the so we get what we call quick action economic recovery program. One of the pillars that be for ensure say we'll not get shortage of essential commodities. Now for that one they make government will put $50 million at the disposal of commercial banks so that they will get foreign exchange problems for bringing essential commodities. Now that people will not ever short one of them basic thing. And we will maintain prices it's stable for the longest time. Yes, I mean, yes, we don't get a few increases in prices of basic essential commodities. This is a global situation, but we don't sit down and throw up our hands and surrender. Like I say, one will make sure say basic essential commodities and denial. Number two, President Bill take over, they make a clear and say this over reliance on mines and minerals is not good for country. Anytime shock in there, the global prices of anything that the country will suffer. Now that we talk about agriculture and marine resources. Meanwhile, they talking so what are the grow, the rest are the plants, now they eat. What are the eat, now they grow. So the president will not challenge everybody. And in the lead by that example. For the last 2 years, President Bill by arrest, they don't challenge with the cabinet minister. They say all man going to parliament. We have done that. We don't do them today. So I want to use this opportunity for call on other Sierra Leoneans. Let us say he this clarion call. If that kid diaspora, you can still able to invest in farming, in agriculture. Now one way that they will able to achieve full self-sufficiency. Every year we spend in excess of $250 million for import rice alone. So you imagine if we will half of that one is $125 million, we will able to invest in social services for taking water in communities we don't get, for provide health care delivery in communities we don't get. So it's really, really important. It's not enough say opposition leaders and shout. I want to use this opportunity to encourage the opposition leaders that want to do farming here. Let us say join who for doing. You don't get yields through the airwaves. You go down the farm. I see some. I'll comment some of them. They do where the president in all. Let us say join who for do farming. Agriculture is dignity. Agriculture gets a lot of dignity, gets a lot of prestige. Because the president is going to own farm around the sea. And this government don't bring in Boku tractors. First thing, what tractor they can is a politician in hand. We don't make sure say now. I mean they go for trials back then. The Minister of Education late now. If we get 2 tractors to Mabna, was then hand close para. Now they say no tractor to any minister. All the tractors they did a farm. And we don't put together what we call machine rings. Then machine ring if na can be there, then get the thing there where you want, you go hire through the voucher system and the private sector they run now. So Mr. Sayawes don't know how one tractor and they pay for it using the existing private sector arrangements that they don't put in place. So things say yes, yields that will increase, prices that will fall, and we will live happily ever after.
Wow. So Mr. Minister, why is the roundup? How hopeful the SLPP government in the 2023 election? Any resistance or again for be a landslide victory?
We will win the elections on the first ballot. That is clear. I mean, President Bill is delivering. We are winning hearts and minds, even in opposition strongholds, right? All the promises that will be made, we are delivering on them. We promise we will deliver free quality education. We promise we will improve the electricity situation. In coming days, it will light up Boku part of the country. Already, the 40 years ago, now Mohammed get electricity. Mohammed, they put pole and now they are stinging, they don't put all the pole there. They are starting electricity programs there, Boku places there, even at the north, Cambia, that place they imagine a lit up Cambia, now border town for God's sake. Now security risks, national security issue, where it is perpetual darkness. President Bill said no, so that they do that in there all or light up the country or ensure so nobody know they say they don't benefit from this. Pensioners are hoping to get 30,000-40,000. At least they get 250,000 euros now per month, or appreciate the hard the services they give. Teachers that don't serve all the years, 25 or so years, all the beginning of the university with the support there. Women that want to go university, where they do STEM courses, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, then they go college, university free. But put in and know what they do. So Salon people that want to that they deliver for. Not to whether come on at the same village with her, they let they deliver. You remember saying when COVID strike, we launched the Munafa Fund, where they support small medium enterprises there, at low single interest rate. So people then just last week, President Biogo give 88 people then were fire disaster affects now the was in the Belgium market area, 10 million euros each, 88 people there. This is a compassionate government. This government gets people there at the very heart and center of everything we do. So President Bill will win the elections on the first ballot. I'm sure even the opposition knows that. But you have to keep your base. You then have to keep the base happy so they can talk.
All right, Mr. Minister, bringing us to the next last two questions. How are the government in effort towards the national cohesion?
This government, more than any other government, don't move very solidly on national cohesion. Now, politicians, bad politicians, they will not get message. Then they create the impression, say, the country is divided. Bad politicians without a message. Because they need for talk about that tribe, they need for talk about region, for let them get people there in the corner, right? When President Bill bring free quality education, for example, you're not saying that for Bantu, you're not saying that for South and East, now for every Sierra Leonean kid who want to go school, right? President Bill get Boku ministers away appointed from the north. I know one day see President Bill in Army Chief of Defense Staff, Northern, for example, from carrying the district. President Bill in Defense Minister, Northern, from Falaba, a Minister of Social Welfare, a National Security Advisor. So that argument there about national cohesion, put them for the shame for the top water again, right? Because when you look at the composition of government, it's all over the place. We are every ethnic group, every region, everybody represented. This is a very progressive and all-inclusive administration. And again, you remember, say recently we now set up a National Cohesion Commission. Yes, now the TRC recommendation, Human Rights Commission on the top bottom, but no government has been serious enough to take it on board. Following all-inclusive consultations, we don't finally enact National Cohesion Commission. They don't appoint commissioners across the country for able midwife with peace. Yeah, so we're doing very well when it comes to that.
All right, Mr. Minister, that brings me to the very last question. Now we are to ask you and to give you round-up statements to Mr. Lumfambude. But this is not a very tricky one. I just want to see because I know the answer, and definitely Sierra Leoneans will listen me, then get for also know the answer. So now on the scale of 0 to 10, inside these 3.5 years, how you go score the SLPP-led government under President Bill and you being the minister?
For Sierra Leoneans, and now they score we only get independent think tanks and they do surveys there. Okay. Then we say the government they do the right things there. We don't get above 75%, in terms of delivery by our commitments there. Not always possible one or do the thing they will be say would they do them, would they scrupulously do them, would they deliver on them. So Salon people they know that one day. Yes. We room there for improvement. Yes, room there for improvement. Then still they will need for get right. But we don't do very well so far. There will be no promise. We're doing our best. So within the national development plan, we only accomplish it diligently.
All right, Mr. Minister, I tell you plenty. Thank you. We get 3 more minutes for finish the 1 hour. I want Sierra Leoneans and for just the first or 2 lucky caller, let them just say something to you because we also need a feedback for waiting ever we did do. You where they listen, we now please, we want to let you talk to the minister, have you say and or ask the minister any question where he go able for answer. What is coming in? Good afternoon, good evening, Sierra Leone. This na Unity Broadcasting, they live on air. Any question for the minister or commendation?
Concerns. Good evening, Mr. Minister. Good afternoon to you on time. I want first tell you, Boku, thank you for remarkable thing where you don't do now with country when I the cyber law where you encourage for be approved by Parliament based on the truth where they see in that. May God bless you and may God continue for lead on the right. But I get few concerns regarding the communication system now with country. One, I want to say communication system in the hands of foreigners. That is against we safety in that country. That's not come up from this government for the past regime them that will be on the sea, and nobody no ever come for change. At this moment, I go plead to you, please, let me look into that, because based on certain countries, they don't look at most of the problem which you're calling because of that. Because at the end of the day, when something happens, we all have to communicate. And if the communication system they in the hands of foreigners, like these Indians controlling this phone system all the top of this there, I don't ever favor that. Some of we hold gun in that country with fight during the war. So we know how we struggle at the bush, where we lack of communication. And that's also people that whether they involved into that supporting the rebels. Now people that were not foreigners, whether they get the radio sets, whether betray the government. So then I want to, and then the other thing, what we talk about here now, the cyber law itself one don't put in place, which is very good. But sometimes we they put the laws in place, but effectiveness to really get people to punish after they commit them crimes and we know they see them. Then at the other thing, I don't go deep into that because I don't get much time.
Okay.
The other thing again we have want to say is this communication system, like the hostel they get for prayer come up. That we they see so much people that in social media, when they do so much good in that country. Wherever in the history of Salon we do not see them. And most of the things they want to do are things that really not to the work of government. Where would they see that they pay soldiers in salary, where they for live by, but government they go beyond that and make sure say they happen. And you know they do it for make them protect them. If they do it because of the job where they do, they deserve that. And for the past years, they don't ever get the opportunity.
Okay, caller, we get time limits where we dey go. Minister don't hear you concern. Minister don't hear you concern. Thank you so much. We dey wait for the very last caller now, whilst the minister will round up and we will exit the show. So, Mr. Minister, whilst we dey wait for the last caller, you can able for Rahman for that question.
Yeah, so I take my brother in concerns then, very valuable concerns then. I'm glad you not say the communication state, the fact so communications there in the hands of non-Sierra Leoneans, a tragic failure of leadership over the years. We public telephone, Sierra Tel, for example, is so hugely indebted. It gets a technology we didn't use during the Second World War. We don't even get factory support again. So that one is sad, in spite of the fact that the previous administration may take Boku money from the Indian Exim Bank for reformer. We do not see their reforms and the government get for pay to get. So yes, it's been a factor and a successive failure of leadership over the years, and I don't bring it to our day. But it is what it is. As government, will therefore face on and ensure say, because as sure what services that they provided, people that really care about the service there rather than whether they, because if Sierra Leoneans and they run now they collapse, they're not able to get the benefits of the services. People they don't really care with their manager as long as they get services. But I understand my brother in sentiments there, but the whole I can say is what it is. Our brothers and sisters have not been able to run these state-owned enterprises well. So because their services are essential, they're very important, now maybe they can go the route of privatization. So you talk about the cybercrime law. This is different from other things there. Cybercrime laws there, the trans-organized crime that they address, like what I've been talking like money laundering, like terrorism, like all digital offenses there. And more often than not, the people that would commit their offense, then they stay in the comfort and convenience of other countries for perpetrating their offense the other side. Like I mentioned, hush puppy just now. Now Dubai based on the police all people they're all over the place. Like I mentioned, the Nigerian guy, they sit down in Nigeria and perpetrate offenses in Brazil till then take $254 million. The bank collapse, the bank governor die. So because of the incident, we're in the process now for access to the Budapest Convention. Who access to the Budapest Convention, which means things like who they really will commit offense, then they can extradite them if one for try them at Sierra Leone, or they can try them at the country they will try them there for international cooperation. So this lawyer, in order for be like the other law there, already we don't begin training with judges there. We don't do training of trainers. Well, ECOWAS don't do training of trainers there, or judges there, and law enforcement officers there. There is commitment for enhance the capacity of the forensic lab of the Sierra Leone police. And already we don't train 8 people there working for manage the national staff. Last week I've been go check the NATCOM building, was I working for host the national staff for know the readiness. I just don't learn from ECOWAS say once the building ready, law tell they're ready for count, do the hardware installations and the trainings and the continue. So we are very much ready, we are very much alert, we are ready to go. This is not going to forbid like the other law. This country here get good thing there, but not to follow with the run and down all the time.
Okay. We'll tell you plenty. Thank you, Mr. Minister. It's been a hectic time. We really appreciate you for where you grant with this interview. At least you don't widen with horizon. We in our unity land. Unfortunately, we're not going to take any other call because time don't beat we. But I want you round up, give you a round up statement and tell Tata to we family the way they listen with.
Well, so family the listen to we. I tell you plenty thank you for left one very important assignments there on the Sunday for listening to me for informing and for clarify issues there on and need clarification on. So when I say unity broadcasting, I think so they do a fantastic job when I keep up. And then until we bring the truth out, people then get for getting alternative truth. Fake news get for tribe, they get for the on the pro. So Lord continue for do this one. We really appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I will for Canada anytime again when I will come and share ideas.
Okay, well, we tell you plenty. Thank you, Mr. Minister and Tata, and see you next time. Thank you very much, sir.
God bless you. Thank you very much.
Sierra Leoneans that have been the Minister of Information, Mr. MOHAMED RAHMAN SWARAY, we been get time with we and he don't able to answer a lot of questions then. We tell them plenty thank you. We'll continue for stay tuned so we get YouTube channel, subscribe so that whatever they go on, they try as very much possible for try for the bring camp personalities. We did in consultation with a very much important personality we probably will come with next week. But we will communicate the flyers to una. Unity Broadcasting, we always try for bringing the best and the very cogent information. Tete, we see next time in being una host and presenter Elizabeth Kepwe Fabe. We get with team members that we put all these things together. I tell una plenty thank you. Till next time, Tata.